my grandfather, my mom's dad, he was the first person to be able to vote. Cause like he lived in El Paso,
Right.
and he was able to get his citizenship.
To be able to vote.
And he was like one of the first family members, and he like made sure, since he was like the only, like one of the few family members that could vote, he was made sure to vote every election. And I think that like my mom kind of saw that example, and like she would take us to vote with her, and made sure that we knew how important it was.
So this is, I mean, and definitely for immigrants, I think for those who come, the power, right? Because then from what I understand, other countries don't have the same type of democracy that we kind of have here.
Yeah, a lot of friends I have, they have people in their circle from like India or other countries, and they're like, yeah, we're so lucky here because
I think
you don't
they,
know how bad it is in other countries.
right, yeah, they don't vote, they don't have a voice now. But you really kind of wanted to get in this whole world. Now, when you graduated high school, was that like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go just jump straight in? Did you go to college? Like, what was that kind of like?
Yeah, I went to college, but I wanted originally I wanted to go to film school.
Oh, okay.
So I applied to USC, but I didn't get in. So I went to Cal State San Bernardino, and I did two quarters there, and then my parents had some financial trouble, so I had to take a break from school, and we actually moved out to Paris.
Oh, yo, yeah.
Paris, California.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
And
yeah.
we were out there for a while, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, so I started going to classes at Riverside Community College at the Moreno Valley campus, and trying to finish like all my general education stuff, still with wanting to go to USC. So I did eventually apply again as a transfer student. I did get in, but I didn't get into film school, which I was kind of disappointed. But my parents encouraged me to like still go and see if I could still take film classes or like build connections. So I went to USC.
So you're, and I imagine that initial experience of being 17 and being a part of that like kind of political aspect, and seeing how difficult it was for you to be able to join a school, and seeing the kind of the financial struggles of your parents trying to fight for a better future, and what was kind of going through your mind during those times? Just trying to figure out what you're gonna do. Was there any sense of frustration? Was it more of just like, hey, it is what it is, like we got to work harder? Like what was kind of the your perspective then?
Yeah, I just kind of accepted it and tried to do what I could to move forward, or I was still trying to keep an open mind
Sure.
of what was in store for me.
I think sometimes when you interact with people, especially when hard times hit, they tend to blame others for like, hey, this is the situation we're in. But it seems like you guys really just was like, hey, it is what it is. Let's keep pushing on. And you worked so hard to where you got accepted to USC. That's no joke. Like, just to be accepted, that's like I mean, that's not easy, That's like extremely
if you have
hard.
a lot of money. Well, back then, now they stopped doing that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
At that time, that was a big practice of like if your parents had a lot of money.
There's a scandal, right? That was a whole scandal thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that? I don't think it was USC that got hit for that, right?
Yeah, it was.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was actually
Yes.
USC for that.
Some students like they pretended that they were athletes, so they could get in, or they got a tutor and
So you were kind of low key affected by that because you're not like you
I
weren't.
wasn't really affected by it. I just like when you were there, you kind of knew that that was going on. You kind of accepted that like these students, like you knew that their parents paid for them to get in,
Mm,
and you're just kind of like, oh well, they're paying for my education too, I guess,
mm,
because they donated a bunch of money or contributed somehow. Cause I got a lot of financial aid. Cause obviously my parents weren't well off.
sure.
So I got a lot of financial aid, and you just kind of accept like, oh, that's like the trade off. Not saying like
Right. I
you
see
know
what you
it's
mean.
not right, but you just kind of understand that's how the system works.
So you're now. Are you? Did you move to on campus or are you commuting?
I no,
I
I
was about to say
definitely
that's a mission. I would say from Paris over there. And yeah, what was that experience like? It's like a whole different animal, from RCC and Cal State San Bernardino.
It was very challenging at first, but I think what helped me, I got involved with the residential government. Like
Mm.
each dorm or like apartment building on campus, they have like a whole like elected body
Mm.
that represent like your building or your area, and then you get to put on like programs for other students and work with the RAs
Oh,
to
okay.
like support students and stuff. And I think that really helped me.
Kind of get
To
out your shell.
Yeah, well, like and meet other people
Mm.
and easily meet new friends. Like I made three of my best friends that way in
That
that space.
yeah. And yeah. So did you end up graduating? What did you do with that? How was that all
So
work out?
I ended up I was able to minor in film
Oh,
and
you got to film. Oh,
um
that's good.
as a minor
Yeah.
but I ended up majoring in history because I had a lot of history classes,
Mm.
and I went to the department and they're just like press the button and they're like, oh, you're a history major now, and I was like, okay.
It
not
just
like
randomized your major. That's
not
awesome.
like the film school where you have to do an application and
Sure.
all interview process. But yeah, I did history. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I still was trying to work in the film industry or work in any job in LA, but I graduated in 2010, right
Mm.
after the recession hit.
Mm.
So it was really hard to find a job, and luckily I was able to like get a part time job. But it was when it ended, like I kind of had to face the fact that I had to move back home.
Yeah.
So I moved back home, and it was kind of it um, it wasn't really hard. It was just weird because I was used to living on my own and then having to go back and like live with my parents.
That's a tough thing.
Hmm.
You're you get you. I mean, you got the degree,
Hmm.
and this is from USC. This
And
is
the debt.
and that comes with it, right? Um, I guess the question really comes now is that like, um, film is a big thing for you, right? You did mention earlier, it's like, hey, even now that you're young, you can kind of start your own film thing. What was about film that kind of was a big, I don't want to say passion, but what was about film that really fascinated you?
I think the most compelling part was the storytelling
Mm,
aspect of it, like being able to tell a story, or like when you watch a movie, like you get to hear
yeah.
a story or someone, or you get to hear from someone's unique perspective.
And any kind of films that kind of jump out to you or filmmakers that kind of inspire you?
There was one movie that I remember from that I was introduced in my studies. It was a French film called The 400 Blows,
Mm,
and it was about a little kid and his like struggle. with his family. Like I think he it's been a while since I watched it. But
Sure, sure.
I think he caught one of his parents cheating on the other parent,
Mm.
and he's like trying to like reconcile with that.
It's a French film. Yeah,
Yeah.
the France don't play games. They be
Yeah.
having kids watching. So this isn't Mickey Mouse over here. So, um, uh, I didn't know you graduated. That I didn't know you went that early. 2010. This is like this that was a tough aftermath of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find your way in LA, which is hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a major and a minor. Your goal is to try to figure out how to get into this world, but couldn't really couldn't get the opportunity. So now you're home. But it seems like you have that spirit of your grandparents, this kind of hard work. You got to figure it out some way. You're gonna, some shape or form. There's something you can do. What was the goal now? Like, where's your?
So yeah, I moved back home. My parents were in San Bernardino, and I was able to find a job working for this nonprofit called Youth Action Project,
Mm.
and we were like mentors to like high school students and give them. It was kind of like it was structured as an after school program, but I feel like it was more than that. Like we helped with their homework, and um, the goal was to help them with their the high school exit exam
Mm.
that was instilled at that time. But I feel like we gave more support than that. Like one of my students, I helped her with like her college application
Oh, okay.
and making sure like she was ready for college, and just being there for them like when they were struggling, or like sometimes they would like tell you stuff that's going on at home, like kind of like having to be a counselor to
It's
them.
it's interesting because uh you were in Girl Scouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of have this sense of like still this community, like helping out people, um, and now you get to kind of work with the youth, right? Do you feel like you like working with more of the kind of adults, or you kind of feel like you like working kind of with kids?
No, I definitely enjoy working with youth. I mean, it has its
Sure, of
challenges.
course, yeah,
It's not for everyone,
yeah.
but yeah, I definitely enjoyed being able to like help young people like see their potential
Mm.
and see what they can do.
And this obviously this is you're working with kids throughout San Bernardino, is that right?
Yes.
And this is not obviously San Bernardino. Maybe some people don't know, but that community is struggling in terms of like of just resources, opportunity. Even the city is bankrupt, so it's really tough at one point in time. So, so how long were you there?
I was there for 2 years, but I was able to, yeah, meet a lot of people in the community,
Mm.
and I was connected with this group called San Bernardino Generation Now,
Mm.
which I think you
Yeah,
came to one of our
I
meetings.
did. Yeah, yeah. So I started a business doing events. I did like these underground speakeasy gallery style events, and it was your team who helped me understand a little bit more about how to manage a business and do business correctly, and you showed me what some of the venues that you guys had, and you guys did an art show. Like, it was crazy. There's a lot of different things that you guys were doing to trying to support people at that time, and I mean, that helped me do this, So, um, can you explain more about that chance? Because that was something that was really interesting. Um, um, do you feel like that was one of the moments you really got to be able to shine in a way?
Yeah, I yeah, I felt like I really found my group or like
Mm.
my people, because they were trying to rehabilitate Succumbia Lake Park, which had been neglected by the city
Oh.
because of the bankruptcy, and help small businesses to thrive because the city was not giving those people support
Mm.
at that time, and and um, and trying to get more young people civically engaged, or like making people aware of like who's running for office and who's running the city, because
And this is
that's
the
really important.
why so you left the youth to go to the advocacy group, right? Um, what was the reason for that change?
It was just I saw an opportunity.
Mm.
I was actually at the time I was actually working for the county at the Parks Department.
Okay.
And then I found SBGN, and I was able to do stuff, and I actually got laid off by the county, so I was
Mm.
able to give even more time into it, so much that I think I even forgot, like, oh yeah, I need to find a job
It's
at some point.
it's a because you're I'm there's no real resources, right? Because that's just a group that you guys try to start, right? If I'm right
Yeah,
here, so it's not like no one's getting paid here. Like you're not getting like 40, 50,000. You're just
yeah, we were all volunteers,
yeah
youth led. Eventually, we did get a fiscal sponsor,
yeah
and we started um, doing programs at the Garcia Center. So we were all able to get a grant to give like stipends. Like it wasn't much, but it was something
yeah.
to like support our efforts, and do like and fund different projects that we wanted to do.